Hello there. Hi, this is Lena with Especially Made for Me. Thank you for joining me. We're going to be working on a wreath today for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So I'm really excited. This is one of our newest kits at our shop, or in our shop on Etsy. So hopefully you'll get to peruse the shop and get to see it there and maybe purchase it to either save this video for watching later and then make it then, or if you've already purchased it and just wanted to watch the video to kind of do it together with me, then that is wonderful. So welcome and thank you for being here. This is the kit that we'll be working on today. It's Race Awareness, Let's Find a Cure. And it's got the words beautiful, hope, strength, believe, courage, fight. So all those things that we always want to make sure we remember and we keep in mind for breast cancer month and breast cancer awareness. So this is the sign that goes with our wreath. We do have everything matching with the fuchsia and all the different pinks. So of course our wreath form is a fuchsia pink that we're going to be using. I do have the mesh here to my right, and I'm going to be changing the camera view here shortly, so you'll be able to see these better. But I wanted to kind of show you the ribbon. We have, of course, our breast cancer awareness ribbon, our support ribbon, which matches with our sign. All of these match with the sign as well. Then we have a fuchsia linen ribbon, and then we have the plaid, my accent just kicked in, woohoo, ribbon. So we have 4 different ribbons to use, and these are all part of the kit, including the mesh. And I already have it loaded here on my mesh roller, so I'm going to change the camera view, and we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to be doing everything from the beginning with you. In case you did purchase the kit and you want to make the wreath with me, we're going to be using the Ruffle method. So we're going to go ahead and cut the mesh together and do everything together as we go. So I'm going to change the camera view so that you'll be able to not only see me towards the corner, but you'll also be able to see the table, my working table, where you'll be able to actually see the project as we go. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and move my keyboard out of the way. Okay, so you should be able to see me on the corner, and then should be able to see my work table. I'm just gonna move things out of the way here, so we'll be able to make sure that you can see everything. And I'm gonna make sure my mouse is out of the way, and here we go. We're gonna just go without any further delays. So thankfully you're able to see me and hear me well from what I can see. Just by looking at the camera views. If you're not able to, please let me know by typing in a comment, and that way I'll know if I need to adjust anything. Okay, if this is your first time here with me and you haven't already done so, please do give me a thumbs up. We call that showing some love. And subscribe to the channel. Just gonna cut the mesh here just on a straight line, just to get rid of all the little jagged edges that there are on the mesh. And I have this loaded here on my mesh roller, but you don't actually have to have a mesh roller to be able to cut these. Before I got the mesh roller, I would just put them in a box or a bag, so that way as they roll, they wouldn't be rolling all over the floor. So you could do that as well until you get one, if you decide to get one, but it's not necessary. It's just helpful if you make wreaths on a regular basis, or if you wrap presents pretty regularly. Anything that you may have a roll of something that you may be using on a regular basis is what the mesh roller is actually for. It doesn't have to be just for mesh. So just to give you an idea on that. We're going to be cutting these at 30 inches because we're going to be doing the ruffle. Now hopefully you can see that I have 2 different rolls here. We have, of course, our metallic border fuchsia mesh, and these are 10.5 inch. And then we have our light pink deco mesh, is a 10-inch mesh. They're both 10 yards long, but the width is the only thing that's different as far as size goes, or measurement. And then the metallic border, it almost looks like sequins, and hopefully you're able to see that well on the camera view. If not, again, please let me know. So I'm going to start cutting at 30 inches. Since we're doing the ruffle method, we know we usually need 18 cuts because usually, and I'll show you why in case you haven't seen any of my other video tutorials, when you have a wreath form that's purchased, usually the rule of thumb, if I can say it that way, is that you have 18 stems, 10 on the outer side, the outer rim, and 8 on the inside. So before we actually start putting our ruffle in, we'll fluff these up to make sure that they're all ready to receive the placement of the mesh. So if we count these, there should be 18 inches. Sometimes there might be one off since it's all done through a manufacturer. But that is the reason why we automatically do that. You can count them beforehand if you're not sure what you have. That way you'll know what to cut. But otherwise, you can go with that average and you'll still have everything that you need. And if you need to cut more, which is highly unlikely, you'll be able to cut more. Now the kits come with both the rolls that I'm cutting right now, and it's more than enough for you to complete the wreath. So don't be too concerned with maybe not having enough, okay? So we've cut 2. We're gonna make sure we cut 9 of, since we have them together, we can cut them both at the same time, and that will give us the 18. And again, if you're just joining us, we're making a breast cancer awareness wreath. This is part of this is actually a kit that I'm using, that it's available on my Etsy shop. Do check out the shop. Once I'm done putting this one together, probably in the next few days, but definitely before next week, it'll also be on the shop, available for sale, unless somebody claims it before then. So today is kit day, and we're doing the breast cancer awareness kit. Next week, we're going to be doing another kit, but we're going to be doing a fall kit. And we're going to be doing the woodland ruffle for that one. So in case you may want to put that on your planner or your calendar to join us next week. We're usually here live on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. I think I've lost count. Let's see. Looks like we have 7, so we'll need 2 more. I'm not sure why that is making that sound. Sorry about that. Now I do have this cutting board underneath the mesh. This is also something else that we do have an affiliate link for underneath the video, in case you would like to purchase one. It is not something that is needed or necessary, or not, I shouldn't say needed, but it's definitely helpful. So if you do make projects on a regular basis that you may need to be cutting material and perhaps even measuring at the same time, this is definitely very handy, and it'll make it so much easier and quicker. As you can see, I can cut 2 different kinds of mesh at the same time, and I can measure at the same time, so it makes it really quick and easy for doing that. And as in here, if you can see that, we have plenty of mesh left. So not to worry. So this is done so that we can make sure you have enough, and that way if you decide to do the woodland ruffle, because you would need a longer cut for the woodland ruffle, you have plenty to do that as well. So here we go. We're gonna go ahead and get started with loading our wreath form. So I'm gonna go ahead and start lifting our stems up. And if you have yours, you're welcome to count as you go, or open them up and then count just to confirm what you may need to have as for your cuts. if you haven't already done that part. Normally you would do that ahead of time if you're not sure. Or you can cut the average 18 pieces, and if you need to cut more, you can cut more, but usually 18 is plenty. There's no set rules on this, it's just guides to kind of help make the project. Okay, and I do have 10 on my outer. And I actually have 6 on the inner. So I'll definitely have some left over. But it's still an even number, so we're all good. Okay, so I'm going to move this over so we can start making our ruffles. Okay, now decision here would be, do you want to have all of your fuchsia pink on the outer? Or do you want to alternate, or do you want to start on the inner and then see what you have and then alternate? It is entirely up to you. There's no, again, no rules. It's based on your preference. I'm going to actually alternate them because I like how that spreads the colors around when we have multiple of the same color, just like different, like we have here. We have a, a light pink, we have fuchsia, we have different color pink ribbons. So I like kind of mixing everything up. So to make the ruffle, you can see here on the table, on my working table, we're going to just spread our hands onto the mesh. We're going to have our hands go from the edge in, so our thumbs are in the middle of our mesh. And this is simply just to make sure we gather, because we're going to be gathering. So we're going to let our fingers do the walking, but we're going to keep our thumbs right here to kind of hold the mesh as we gather the material. And this is how it goes. Now I'm doing this step by step in case you have purchased the kit and you haven't done this method before. If you have, you could welcome to fast forward if you're watching the video later. Just want to make sure our beginners can also see everything step by step. So here what I'm doing is grabbing my 2 stems. You can start anywhere within the wreath form, and I'm making sure my middle that I have my thumbs at, it's right in between the 2 stems. And I'm going to make those 2 stems go in opposite directions, so it'll go over the mesh. Pull tightly and then give it a twist. That'll keep your mesh there. Okay, now for the ruffles, I like gathering the ends. So I look for my ends and I make sure that they overlap both on the top, and then do the same on the bottom. This gives it that rounded look. So it kind of gives it, see how it looks almost like a flower? It just gives it a better shaping. Okay, and we're going to do the same thing with our metallic border mesh. I guess I'll move over a little bit here so I won't keep getting that cut up. Okay, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to gather here in the middle. Okay, and we're going to just walk our fingers. Now you can put something heavy if the rolled part of the mesh is kind of not allowing you to do the ruffle. You can put something heavy at the end, at the other end, just to kind of hold it together, and then remove it when you get to the end. So your ruffle basically should look just like so, and you're holding it in the middle, almost like a little butterfly, birdie, you know, different things that it can look like. Okay, and then we're going to put it on our wreath form, same way we did before, but now we have a neighbor. So now we want to make sure that they behave and help each other instead of holding each other or pushing each other down. And I'll show you what I mean. We're still going to get our middle right in between our 2 stems and tighten it the same way, but we want to make sure we lift here so that it doesn't push the other down. So we want to make sure that they're good neighbors to one another. Okay, and we're going to still pull our stems apart and give it a twist. Find your edges, make sure that they overlap on both top and bottom. And then again, just make sure that your ruffles are holding each other up instead of pinning each other down. That helps to lift it up and it'll give it more of a shape. Okay, continuing on, we're going to do this process all the way around. And once we're done with the outer rim, we'll start in our middle, the inner. Okay, if you're just joining us, we are doing a breast cancer awareness wreath using the Ruffle method. We have two different kinds of mesh here. We have the metallic border mesh and the Deco Mesh. Deco Mesh is a light pink, and our metallic border is a fuchsia color. Fuchsia pink. Again, just making sure that we're good neighbors. Our ruffles are good neighbors to one another. And then moving on to the next one. While you're here, if you haven't already done so, please do give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Thumbs up lets us know that you like the video, the tutorial, that you're enjoying it, learning something, one or the other, if not all of the above. Of course, comments help. If you have any questions, please type it up in the comments, since I wouldn't be able to hear you. And then I'll be looking for the comments and I can answer any questions you may have. Okay, again, making sure that we overlap our ends. Just gives it that rounded look. And then pull up on the ends, on the sides, so that way we can make sure we're not pushing down on the previous ruffle. Okay, just move that to the side there for a minute. Okay, making our next ruffle. And this is the part where I said you could put something heavy on if that bothers you to have to pull that out. And then you could always move the item out of the way, whether you use your cell phone or the wire cutters, scissors, anything that's a little bit heavy, just to kind of keep it in place. When making the ruffles, another way that you can do these and also do the ribbons at the same time to save time, you know, because I like being lean. You could also use the Bodabra to hold the ruffle while you put the ribbons in place. Since I did not cut the ribbons ahead of time, because I want to make sure I show you the full process in case this is the first time that you may have one of the kits in doing the ruffle method, I'm not doing that, but normally makes it a little bit easier, whoops, sorry about that, and quicker to have everything pre-cut. And I'll go ahead and reach for those here in a minute. Go ahead and do our next ruffle since I already had it in my hands. Continuing on with the same process. And we'll continue all the way around. Just making my ends overlap. And making sure that the sides are being good neighbors to one another. Okay, let's see if I can reach those. I may have to walk around, excuse me for a second. Or two or three. Alrighty. I'll try to put them over here so they won't do that no more. Here we go. So we're still alternating our pinks. Again, making sure that the ruffle to the side of that is lifted up. And making sure ends overlap. I mentioned earlier about the board, if you would like to get one, or any of the tools that I'm using, whether it's the board or the scissors that I use, or wire cutters, the rotary cutter. I do have affiliate links underneath the video if you're interested in those. If you would like to use the same ones. And I'll try to show you, try to remember to show you as I use different tools, how they look and how they work and all of that. Okay, moving along really nicely. Please let me know if you have any questions while you're out there. And don't forget, if you haven't already done so, to do thumbs up and subscribe. Ring that bell. We call that showing some love. We do that for each other as well. I'm a member of we call each other cubbies, or actually our leader calls us all cubbies. So we have fellow cubbies that are part of this design group that I'm in with Lori Jacobs, hardworking mom, and there's a few of us that have been learning with her about the YouTube channel and social media and so on. So we try to watch each other while we're live, if we're not scheduled at the same time, just to kind of give each other some support. So if you do like the arts and crafts, like we do, like doing the wreaths and swags and so on, please do look. I do have another tutorial where it shows a list of some of us that wanted to do a collaboration together, and go and do a thumbs up for them and subscribe to their channel as well. I know Linda with Wreaths by Linda, she also has an Etsy shop. She's wonderful making wreaths. They all are. It's a wonderful group of ladies. Gunham and Grits. Wreaths by RN. Can't remember all the different names of their actual shops. There's quite a few of us. You could also like us on Facebook. You can check on the link underneath the video to make it easier to find, or you can just do a search for Especially Made for Me. There may be a couple of them out there now with that name, but mine has the sunshine, because I love the sunshine. Excuse me. And I just didn't when I first looked that name up, it wasn't out there really. Because I spell it a little bit differently. I have the actual number for 4. But somehow it's been happening. Alrighty, just getting our edges to overlap here. Now when you get towards the end, you will have to look on both sides of your ruffle to make sure that everything is holding up instead of pushing down on the neighbor ruffle. just to make sure we still have the rounded look on both ends and that they're not pushing down but helping each other stay nice and fluffy standing up. So this is just with the outer rim done, made it all the way around. You can see how it makes it look a little bit nicer when you kind of mix and match and just kind of alternate the colors, because it gives you the view all the way around. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing, but on the inner we have 6 there. And looks like I didn't overlap this one all the way, so I'm going to do that. Don't know how I missed that. Okay, there we go. So now we're going to do the inner rim, and we're going to do the same process. So if you're not starting at the same spot that you ended, just kind of look for the fuchsia one and then do your pink. If you're going to be doing that alternating method, then do the light pink right above it, so that way you can still be alternating on the inner. Now you can, if you would like, which is another method, still doing the ruffles, you can do, if you want to have that definition of the lines, you can do that as well. So just another idea, because again, it's all based on preference. So if you would prefer to see those fuchsia lines and then the light pink line, then you can make sure that you do the same color going straight across when you get to the inner rim. I like to kind of alternate a little bit and mix and match. Sometimes I do it all the same to where you can see those defined lines, and then I mix them all up. For breast cancer, just because of all the different pinks, it's all the same color but the different variation of the color. I like mixing them all up because I think it just gives it a nicer look. But again, everything is a matter of preference, what your tastes are, what you like, and how you want your wreath to look. So you have some decisions. If you got the wreath kit from me, if you have this kit where it has all of these items that I have here before me while I make this wreath, you also have a set of instructions. So you could always look back on those instructions if you want to make it later, or just wanted to watch, or just if you do the subscription on the channel, you could always save this video also as, you know, to watch it later, and then you could do it later if you're not doing it with me. But the kit does come with the written instruction as well, in case you did buy it and you haven't noticed that on in the box. Okay, still doing that ruffle. Thumb in the middle, and then just walk your fingers and gather. Your thumb shouldn't move. Okay, and when you're putting the ruffles here on the inner rim, still gotta look for that neighbor to the left or the right, and the right, but you now also have a neighbor on the bottom, because that outer rim also has a ruffle. So we want to make sure as we go along that we do make sure that the ruffles are being good neighbors to one another on every angle. Okay, so as I gather these edges, I'm kind of watching for that, and then we can go ahead and make sure we lift on the bottom. We're gonna lift on each of the sides to make sure that everything is working together. Okay, just making sure I'm kind of pushing the other ruffles to make sure that we have them coming up, and that way I'm not pushing down on them with the new ruffle. Still doing the same thing on the twisting to make sure it's nice and tight, and we're overlapping our mesh ends all the way around to give it that rounded look. And we're doing that on top and bottom. And then making sure it's behaving with the other neighbors. Kind of makes me chuckle sometimes to say it like that. It's like neighbors. Just getting rid of this string here. And I'm actually going to leave that out. We're going to need that for the ribbon soon. Now if you see me kind of putting things down over here, it's not going on the floor. I actually have a trash can right there in case you can't see that on the camera. So I'm not throwing it on the floor, I promise. Okay, if you're just joining, we are doing our breast cancer awareness wreath kit from our Etsy shop. We cut our mesh at 30 inches. Just pulling those streamers apart just to make sure it's nice and tight, because you're also going to need some space, some streamer to tighten your ribbon, unless you undo it to then add your ribbon. I don't like having to undo it, so that's why I make sure it's nice and tight. But if you have to, nothing wrong with that, as long as you know to tighten it back up to make sure everything is tight. Okay, and again, making sure that everything's playing well with the neighbors. We want to make sure that they help each other, they hold each other up and not pin each other down in any way. And it also gives that ruffle a better shape, and it makes it more full when we do it that way. Again, just walking our fingers, the thumb stays in place just to gather. It's like we only have this one and one more, and we'll be done with our inner, and then we can move on to ribbons. Making sure we're playing nice with our neighbor here. Again, we do the same process all the way around for our outer rim and our inner rim. So in case you're kind of wondering why does she keep repeating herself, you want to make sure that in case anybody did not join us right at the beginning, they know what we're doing. And the why. It's always helpful to know the why when we're doing things, doesn't it? There's got to be a purpose, a reason. Okay, one more. And these are the two that we have left, because we only had 16 streamers versus the normal 18. So we're just going to put that to the side. We're not going to need it. Now you could use those to make a bow or to add it to a different wreath, since we do still have more mesh left over. so it doesn't go to waste. Don't throw it away. I have a few drawers. I have a couple of different have small ones here for my different stems and chenille stems, and another bigger drawer on the other side because I save the mesh and also any ribbon I have left over, because you can make some nice bows with leftover ribbon. And I do have some videos on that as well if you haven't already watched them. Okay, finding our edges. Making sure they overlap. And then making sure that our neighbors are being helped up and not pinned down. On both sides here, to the left and the right, and then we want to make sure the same thing on the bottom. So this is how it looks so far, just with the mesh. And you see with the mix and match of the colors, it kind of spreads it around. So we have the different colors pretty much everywhere. We have the light pink and the fuchsia, we have the light pink and the fuchsia, and because we have that metallic border, it gives it a little bit of a sparkle, and it kind of changes up the color a little bit, so you have a little bit of that sparkle throughout the wreath as well. So let me get it a little bit closer to the top view there, and you can see it's already looking pretty full by doing the ruffle that way, making sure that they help each other's kind of stand up instead of letting them, you know, kind of pin each other down. It helps to make your wreaths look fuller if you do that. Just cut another one that didn't stay overlapped. So I'm just fixing that in case you're wondering what on earth is she doing now. Okay, and then making sure we're not pinning anything down. Alrighty, so we're going to start with our ribbons. And I'm going to put our sign that's going to be going with that. See, that's going to be just lovely. Has all the same colors. Okay, and here we have our ribbons. Now here's another tough decision you would have to make. Not really tough, but definitely have some decisions. So you have 4 ribbons on the kit, in the kit. Okay, so you have anywhere from 4 or 5 yards of each ribbon. So you would have to decide, now that you know you have 16 streamers, you're gonna need 16 cuts times 2, or you could mix and match. So this one is usually what I would use as what I call a main ribbon. So my main ribbons are usually the ones that I use throughout the whole wreath. So since I have 16 streamers, I would want to cut 16 streamers for the actual wreath, and then I can alternate with these. Another thing you could do, since we have 16, then you would divide that number by the number of ribbons you have. So you could do 4 cuts of each one. That'll still give you the 16, and you'll be able to spread the love of all the ribbons throughout, and you can then just mix and match whichever way you'd like. So different ways of doing that. Or if you decide, well, you know, I only want to use 3 of them, then you could do the math and decide what you want to do with just using 3 of them. Or if you want to use 2 of them, and then you'll have more left over for a bow. Either way, you'll still have plenty left over to make a bow. So that's why we do it this way. We want to make sure you have enough to do your choice with regards to the wreath, and then still have some left over for a bow if you would like to make one. So I'm going to start cutting our ribbon, and I had already pinned it together just to make sure it didn't go all over the place. So I'm going to go ahead and start cutting. I like cutting mine at 12 inches. As if you have, looking at the instructions, it should have under 12 inches. So I'm going to just come here and get my little perfect tails. Now, if you don't have something to use like I have now, the perfect tails, you could also use the board, use a measuring tape, a ruler. You don't necessarily have to have this to do that. This is just helps me to make it a little bit quicker and easier to do the 12 inches. But I didn't have that before. I used to actually use a, and that was something I saw Lori do in one of her videos. I used a piece of cardboard and I measured it, and then I just put duct tape all the way around it, and then I just use that. So different things that you can do. You do not have to have specifically a perfect tail piece of wood or something like that, which is what this is. It's just wood instead of cardboard. So I'm gonna go ahead and do my cuts. And each time I go around, I already have 2 of my streamers. And I'm thinking I might want to do just the 4 so I can use all the ribbons after I set it. Now I think I want to do it that way. I always do the main ribbon. I want to do something different today, just so that we can see how that would work. So let's see. Gotta back it out one more. And I'm thinking this would be okay because we do have our sign that has more or less, not necessarily the same wording, but same concept. So I'm not gonna be too concerned with not using this ribbon all throughout the wreath, because we'll still have it. And then if we decide we want to add more, we could definitely do that. Okay. Okay, so we have 4. So we'll do 4 of each one. That'll give us the 16 we need. And I'm going to show you how I do my dovetail. Just making sure the ribbon is facing all in the same direction, just to make it easier, making sure that they're all aligned so they'll be as even as possible. And all I do is just fold it in the middle like so, and we're going to cut diagonally towards the corner like so. And there is our dovetail. And I'm going to put it against my, so that way you'll be able to see that dovetail a little bit more defined. Okay, we'll do that on the other side. Whoopsie. I am going to have to stop wearing this shirt. It's getting cut up on everything. Okay, now these are the scissors I mentioned earlier. See, just cut through wire. Not a problem, even though it's not a wire cutter. I love these scissors. Okay, doing the same thing here. Folding, making sure our corners are together. There goes my accent again. And we're going to cut diagonally up towards that corner. That'll give us our dovetail. Okay, and that just gives it a more defined look, more finished look. See, and we have plenty left over to make a bow. Or if you would like to have this one spread throughout the whole wreath, then you would just cut more. Just wanted to try a different method here. So here we go. We're going to do the same thing with our other ribbons. Just going to do 4. Excuse me. Makes it quick and easy. Just doing the 4. I would still be wrapping around my measurement tool if I was doing it the other way. So it makes it go a little bit faster. Okay, just lining them up before I fold it over. Same process for the dovetailing. ahead and put these out there so you'll be able to see them as they're cut. And then we could decide how we're going to have them. I think I'm cutting that correctly. Now in my mind, it's like, am I counting correctly? If I'm not, then we'll just cut more ribbon. Go ahead and leave that open right there. I think we'll need to cut it again, because we're going to be, what we're going to be doing is alternating the ribbon. And you'll see what I mean here in a second. Okay, if you're just joining us, we are making a breast cancer awareness wreath. This is one of the kits on our Etsy shop, available for purchase now, of course. And it's actually on sale right now, along with our other kits. We have 3 kits on our Etsy shop right now. All 3 are for sale. Last ribbon. Now this one is called Estelle Textured Ribbon. Now these are all wired ribbon. I like using wired ribbon because it's easier for shaping. And you'll see that here in a minute or two once we start putting them on the wreath. And when we make a bow. Okay, again for dovetailing, you just line them up. We're going to fold them right in the middle. Make sure that our ends are together, and then we're going to cut diagonally towards the corners. And you do the same on the other side. Okay, so now we have all our ribbon cut. Put this away. I don't believe we're going to need it. Just clean up a little bit. Okay, so here's our another decision making. Which ones do you want to match together? So normally when we have the 2.5 inch and the 1.5 inch, I always want to go with a 1.5 and a 2.5 together. You could do the 1.5 and a 1 and a 1.5 together. But if you do the 2.5 and the 1.5, I would suggest making sure that the 1.5 is on top, just to make sure that we're not hiding it, like so. And then doing that, depending on your patterns and all of that, it kind of mixes up the patterns and the colors as well. So I overlap them, one on top of the other, and then I find my middle. Okay, and then I just gather here in the middle and pinch it. I do not fold it, because it does give it a different shaping when you fold it. And then to give it shape, I just run my fingers through the middle. See how it just kind of curves it? Okay. Kind of makes it look like a little birdie. And then what we're going to do is then put the ribbon on our mesh. So with this one being the darker color, I'm going to actually put it with the lighter pink. And that's where I meant where we're going to have to make some decisions as we go along. Again, there's no wrong way, there's no rules. You do as you would prefer based on your preference and what you like. Excuse me. Another decision making here. Hopefully you can see this okay. See how we have the ribbon laying right now? You can leave it just as is. That's one way of doing it. You can put 1 and 1. So you'll have one facing one way and then do the opposite on the other side. You can crisscross it. Okay, so you'll have that. or you can put both with the ribbon down and both linen pieces up, or vice versa. So 3 different ways there that you could actually do it. I like spreading it around and making sure that all the colors again are dispersed. So I normally do this crisscross method, but I have done the other methods as well. Okay, so then since we've used the linen and the ribbon on that one, we're going to do the other 2 ribbons on the other side. Okay, again, just finding the middle. We're going to scrunch, not fold, and then give it a pinch. And we're going to shape it before putting it on. Okay, so we're going to find our streamers, our stems, rather. I keep saying streamers. We're going to go ahead and put that middle where we had it pinched right in between those stems. Do it the same way we did with the mesh. We're going to pull apart to make sure it's nice and tight, and then give it a twist. And then we're going to position our ribbon. Okay. And then you decide which way you want your ribbons to go. They are wired, so it's very easy to just shape them up and have them go where you want them to go. I must have gotten some of those cut up somewhere, 'cause I'm missing some already. Did I knock them over? So we're supposed to have 4. Don't know what I did with them. Okay, here we go. We've only used 1. That's okay, we have plenty. We'll be cutting some more. I don't know what happened to them. I thought they got cut up underneath the wreath, so I was trying to find them. I don't see them. It is interesting. We've only used 2, so there should be 2 more. Aha! They're on the floor. Give me another second. Thought I was going crazy there for a moment. If I keep doing that, I'm gonna just have my own little exercise going up and down. Alright, guess that means I need to move them over. Moving on. Okay, when I have a ribbon that has letters or shapes on it, like in this case we have letters and we have little pink ribbons on the breast cancer ribbon, I try to make sure that they're all facing in the same direction when I put them on the wreath. Again, not a rule, not a requirement. It's just something I do. So on this one, I'm kind of looking here, see how we have the plaid one going up. So I'm going to do the opposite on this one. I'm going to have it going down. Just again, so I can spread it around. So this is how the ribbons are looking so far. Okay. Back to the linen and the breast cancer ribbon. And then we'll cut our ribbons for the inner. Looks like we'll need to cut a little bit more. I did my math wrong, from what I can see. We'll see. That's what happens when you do your measurements for the ribbon based on yards and not the actual cut. Okay, just positioning the ribbons. Again, you decide where you want them, how you want them. You crisscross them or put them all together facing in one direction, especially if you're using the 2.5 and the 1 or 1.5 inch ribbon. You can have them all coming down the same way like I showed at the beginning, and it gives it a very nice look. Okay, if you're just joining us, please, if you haven't already done so, do give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We are making, see, and I just put that one upside down. No, 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 no. We are making a breast cancer awareness wreath. Okay, just reshaping that one because I noticed that my letters were not facing in the right direction. I knew that was just a little too easy. Doing just the 4 cuts. I don't know what I was thinking. I normally cut a lot more ribbon than that. I'm gonna blame it on Sally. We have, we're just dealing with a storm here. Storm Sally. So we've had lots of wind, lots of rain, the lights flickering since yesterday. And I think we're in the green now. But I tell you, there's been so much damage in the area. You just can't help but think about different things. And we were checking on our neighbors earlier. Hey. So what I'm thinking of doing while we're putting these ribbons down, for the inner rim, I'm going to do that other method I mentioned where I have them, I pick a main ribbon and I make sure that that one is on all of the stems, just so that we can see what that looks like. Since I mentioned it earlier, that is my norm, my standard, I guess. But I wanted to try something different in spreading the love of the ribbons. Okay, so we just need 2 more. So we'll need let's see, we'll need one of these, one of each, and then I'll do the other method I mentioned for the inner. So we'll just need the one, and then I'll cut the other ones together just so that we can make sure we count properly this time. You can see me cutting that. And this basically you could do on the cutting board. You don't necessarily need one of these. I'm just using it because it's handy. But you could also measure here on the board using the numbers. That's why I like the board as well. Just helps with measurement and cutting at the same time. Okay, next one, so we can finish that outer rim. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and do our dovetails. And in this case, I'm going to go ahead and do these two together since they're the same measurement. The width, they're both 2.5. And then I'll do the smaller ones together. So I mentioned earlier that we're going to be doing another kit next week. That's also in the shop. We're going to be doing the fall kit. And that one, the sign for that one says, "Autumn leaves and pumpkins, please." It's got pumpkins and autumn leaves and all the mesh and ribbon to match. So here we go. I'm going to finish these two, doing the same thing, just finding the middle. I caught it that time. Let me make sure the letters are facing in the same direction. Again, while you're here, if you haven't already done so, please show me some love. And by that, on a YouTube channel, we mean to give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, share the link of the video with friends and family, and ask them to do the same thing. Share it on social media. I'm hoping to meet my first goal with YouTube. Well, not the first one, but I have a series of goals for YouTube. My first one, as far as subscribers go, is meeting the 100 subscribers. And the reason for that, just so that you'll know, is because we'll get a link that's unique to the business, to especially made for me. So it'll make it easier for everybody to be able to find our channel. YouTube only gives that when we reach 100. And then the next goal after that, of course, the main goal will be to reach 1,000. Okay, so I'm going to cut ribbons for the inside. This is the part I said I like doing a little bit different. So I'm going to cut the main ribbon first because I know we have 6 on the inner. So I'm going to cut 6 streamers of this main ribbon. When I'm making the main ribbon, you can make your, my accent just kicked in again. You can make your main ribbon one of the other ribbons. You just pick whichever one you like. Again, you should have enough for putting the streamers on the wreath, and just enough to make another, like make a bow to go with it if you choose to. You don't have to. Okay. So now I have 6. And as you see, we still have plenty for maybe making a bow. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and do our dovetails just to give it that finished look. We're folding and cutting diagonally towards the corner. Same thing on the other side. Alrighty, so let's see. I'm thinking I'm gonna use these two for the alternating. So we'll only need 3 since there's 6 and we're alternating 3 of each. Okay, making our dovetail. I mentioned a sale earlier on the Etsy shop. Want to give you another little secret where there's a couple of different ways you can save when going to our shop and making a purchase. Of course, if you are local to Pensacola, Milton, Pace area, there is a notice there that you'll find on the first page to make sure you pick your items and contact us, and we can do an invoice instead so that we can save you on shipping. Local folks that shop with us get a flat fee for their shipping. And if you are a Covenant Care staff member or volunteer, there's a notice there as well because you get a special discount, so do look out for that. Of course, our cubbies with Lori Jacobs groups get a discount that's posted on our group. And also, in case by chance you don't meet any of that criteria, it's okay. You could also save. There is a notice with each one of our ads or of our listings that you can do some pinning on Pinterest to earn a discount coupon. So there's lots of different ways that you can save while shopping with us. Excuse me. Let's go ahead and do ours here. So this is what I normally do when I pick a main ribbon and then I alternate. Our main ribbon will be on all 6 of our stems. So we're always going to be using this ribbon, but then we're going to alternate between the other 2. Okay, so that's another option that you can do throughout the full wreath. Just wanted to show you a couple of different ways so that you'll know, have some options on what to do for when you're putting your wreath together. Okay, doing the same thing here, just finding our middle and putting our ribbons together. And we're going to scrunch and pinch in the middle. Do not fold. And we're going to shape. Okay. And right where we have it pinched is where our middle is at, so that's what we're going to put between our stems. Pull apart to tighten and give it a twist. And then just place your ribbons how you would like to have them spread out. Okay, still using our main ribbon, but now we're going to the other. Since it's smaller, we're putting it on top. You'll still be able to see it either way. I like having it on top so that way I can control the pinching a little bit better. If it's underneath it, you won't be able to see it. So it'll make it a little bit difficult. And since it's smaller, doing this, it'll make it a little bit more visible. Okay, finding our stems. There we go. Same process throughout the full rim. So we go all the way around. If you have any questions, to let me know by just typing it in the comments. If not, I'll assume all is well and there's no questions. If by chance you do use Facebook, we are on Facebook as well, so do like us on Facebook. We do have some groups that we're starting. If you'd like to join those groups, I could just submit a request for joining the groups. We do have free groups. We are working on another one that is a paid group, so it'll be a more private group just for helping with the business. But we do have some free ones like Christmas 365. I know it might be a little bit early for some, but some of us love Christmas so much we could have it all year long. So that's what that group is for. If you love Christmas and what the true meaning of Christmas and what it's all about, and you want to just collaborate or just share things with others that feel the same way, that would be the perfect group for you. We can share our arts and crafts. We can, of course, share scriptures, just help each other, motivate each other, lift each other up, share recipes. Pretty much anything goes that's tied to Christmas and the true meaning of Christmas. Just sharing His love. There's another that's for the love of crafts. So if you love crafting, doesn't have to be wreaths. You do any kinds of crafting, could be sewing, painting, making signs, or if you do sublimations, do the mugs and different things like that, like we do. We do mugs as well, and gonna be working on shirts, doing t-shirts. We do signs as well. So any type of crafting, you can share it there in that group, and we can also collaborate, get each other's opinions on our, you could share something that you recently worked on. You just want someone's opinion on creative things that you may want to share, and or just to share because you like what you just worked on, and necessarily because you want anybody's opinion. But that one is called For the Love of Crafts, in case you're interested in that one. And that is a free group. And again, it's just starting out, so right now it's just me. I just put those up. I'm starting to put some images together to put on there. Alrighty. Here is our wreath with mesh and ribbon. We still have the sign to put up. And if we would like, we could also do a bow, because we definitely have plenty of ribbon. And I'll bring those out so that you'll see. We have plenty of ribbon to make a bow with if we choose to. Or you could save them for another project or make another wreath using the ribbons. So we're gonna go ahead and decide where we want our sign. Do we want it in the middle? And I always do my little disclaimer. I like it in the middle, but not if I'm putting it in the front door. And again, that is just a safety issue for me, because at the front door we normally have that magic eye. We want to be able to see out. In case somebody rings the bell, knocks on the door, we want to see who's on the other side. So putting it in the middle kind of blocks that. It's beautiful. I love it. Definitely an option, but I always like mentioning that. Could always put it more towards the bottom, on the top, side, or still put it kind of in the middle, but kind of judge where your magic eye might be and put it sideways, kind of tilted. It's entirely up to you. This one is going on the shop, and I'm going to put it in the middle just because. Okay, you might put it on the side and then do the bow. So entirely up to you. Right now I think I'm going to go with just the middle and no bow and make the bow separate. So I'm going to go ahead and put some holes. I do sell these on the shop, but without the holes, because we do have crafters that use these for their wreaths. And you could also use them to put them on a display. You know, if you want to just have it up and not actually have it attached to a craft, you can definitely do that. And that's why I don't automatically put the holes on there, because you could hang them up, or you could put the holes on there and then put maybe some wire ribbon or some other ribbon and then hang it somewhere, or you could display it again in those little portrait displays or stands, and you can have it that way as well. So we're going to go ahead and make holes, because for this one we are going to put it on our wreath. So I have this that actually puts a little holes under. They're very tiny holes, so that we can run our wire through. And I go very close to the corner. You can't even see the hole, but I do 4, 1 on each corner, and that is to make sure that it's secure onto the wreath. And that way we can make sure it stays put. Now these are metal signs. They have that UV protection on it. I do the sublimation on these. That's how I make these. Okay, we're gonna get our wire. Now this one is a 26 gauge wire. I like using this one with the silver, so you really can't can't see it much at all. So I like using that for that reason, because then we can attach it to the wreath and they're barely visible, if at all. And I do have the affiliate links for all of these tools that I'm using. So in case you're interested in purchasing, if you don't have it, you can click on those links and it takes you where you can get them, so that way you can get the right item. Don't need too much of the wire to attach it, since you're going to have wire in all 4 corners. Could always cut it a little bit extra long and then just cut off any excess. There's no wrong way of doing this. I do like making sure I put the cap back on to keep that wire straight in there and not going all over the place. Alrighty, so here we go. This is how I attach my signs. So of course, gotta put it through the little holes we just made. And I don't double it. I actually just do a little bit, maybe about 1.5 inches or so, and then just twist it on the back to make sure it's secure. You can double it and run it through without having to do the twisting. That works as well. So that way you won't poke yourself like I just did. But you'll also be using more wire. Just something to think about. Okay. Okay, and then once I have them all attached to the sign, then I place it onto the wreath just to kind of judge where I want it, you know, judge the spacing, and just pull the wires towards the back and then attach it to the wreath form. So for the bow, if you like to learn how to do the bow, if you're not sure on how, I do have some videos on YouTube on how to make a bow. There's different kinds of bows and different methods of making a bow. You don't necessarily need to have any tools for making the bow. I do show how to make them by hand, and also using perhaps the Bowdabra or the Easy Bow Maker, which there's also affiliate links on the bottom of the video for those. Okay, so now that we have this attached, we're gonna go ahead and find a placement, and we're gonna grab our wire and run it to the back. Okay, so I'm just holding all the wire so I know where they're at, and I'm gonna run my hands through the middle. The wreath is nice and full. Okay, and I'm just gonna grab it with my other hand to pull back on them, and then we're gonna decide where our middle is at, and then we'll move these ribbons over so that way they will be out. So we'll take care of that once we attach our sign. So I'm gonna turn it over just so that you can see me doing that part. You can run it through the mesh itself. And I'm just wrapping it right around the frame just to kind of pull on it, make sure it's secure. I'm just going to wrap it around a couple of times just so I can show you what it'll look like, and then I can come back and cut any excess wire. So you basically will go by the four corners, make sure you pull snug, and wrap it around the frame. Okay, I'm going to turn it so that you'll be able to see it at the right angle on your end, and then just pull your ribbons from behind the sign and just reposition them. And then you could go back on the back side of it and just pull on the sign a little bit more if you need to. reposition the ribbon some more, and just kind of play around with it until you're satisfied with the look. Again, no wrong way of doing this. It's all based on your preference and how you want things to look. It's not going anywhere. So this is it, and then just do more fluffing if as you need to. But this is our wreath. Raise awareness, let's find a cure. Nice and full all the way around. I'm going to lift it the other way so you can see the fullness of it. See the ribbon streamers, the sign. So there you go, from every angle. I'm going to lift it up a little bit just because of that light. Alrighty, so that is our wreath using the ruffle method and putting on our sign. And again, if you do want to make the bow, we do have other tutorial videos available for making the bows. I tend to do those separate sometimes. I do them together on the video, but since we attach the sign this time, I'm not going to take extra time on this one video to also do the bow. Just to save you some time. But if you would like to do that, there is again other video tutorials for making the bows, and then you could attach the bow and decide where you would want it, if you want it on the top or the side or on the bottom of the wreath. Entirely up to you, again based on preference. Thank you so much for joining me. If you have any questions as you watch this video maybe later, you're welcome to leave me a comment. I do check on the videos periodically in case there may be any questions I may need to answer, so please feel free to do that. Or you could also send me a message if there's any other questions you may want to ask, or just questions about the shop. We do have the links available underneath on the video, so you can visit our Etsy shop. You could go on our website. You can visit us on Facebook and like us there, or follow us on Pinterest or Twitter or Instagram. We're there as well. So until next time, we'll see you next week, Wednesday, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Stay safe, keep smiling, and stay liquid. Bye-bye.